Hey Rebels, welcome back to the channel. Time for another weekly update. I'm going to try to keep this one kind of quick because not a lot to say except for we're seeing strength across the board. We got 5 weeks up on a single swing direction in Bitcoin. We're about 40 some odd percent in this swing direction, which is not yet completely overcooked, but we could still definitely get into that 60, 70% range before a correction. But either way, so we're nearing overheated. We're not necessarily overheated, but strength after strength. Seeing strength above this major trend line here and this major pivot point as well. Had a nice weekly close above that. And we can see so far, at least in the week, it's early, but we're definitely seeing some buying come back in even with this downturn. So it'll be good to see how these next weeks shape up. Let's see, positive signs really quick. I mentioned some things in the Telegram group that I want to bring up really quick. First of all, is the exchange volume. We had a breakout of this double bottom here. This is a slightly higher low. Now we have a higher high. So we are technically in an uptrend on the exchange volume. So we were able to take some trades and get some profits down in these areas because we were not taking a lot of risk at the time and we were very aggressive at taking profits. So that really set us up for the next leg. And then, as I've mentioned in the videos in past, I was able to enter with a little bit more conviction on some of the newer trades because we had the overbalanced timer price on Bitcoin, and there were some other factors lining up that the structural bottom was in. So it was likely that those lows that it printed would form. So good places to put stop losses under when the risk reward was like really favorable there. The other thing too, if I go into the trade results here, as we can see, so we've 3x this account in 3 weeks. We started off with 5 grand. We're up to 17 and a half. Some of this, about 600 of this is an additional deposit. So I will say that, but either way, we've truly well and above 3x the account in 3 weeks. So that's pretty exciting. And all, before we've even really hit any kind of overheated metrics, I think we really nailed the bottom on this one. So it's basically just a snooze fest and it's like hands off the wheel. Today, I did take a little bit of profit, like tiny amounts of profit, just because we are getting closer to some resistance levels on Bitcoin, and we have these tops to contend with, and there's another trend line that was in the other chart from previous cycles that has been resistance. So we're kind of nearing that time where things are starting to get a little hot, and it might be okay just to take a little bit of profits off the table. Bitcoin dominance again, just tanking. We're below this median trend line that I had here. This has kind of been the median, so to speak, for this move. And we see that kind of in the weak territory there. One of the other reasons I took a tiny bit of profits, I'm not trying to exit these positions because we got really good entries and we really captured the lows pretty well, is we have this old resistance. This is a little messy chart. But we have this old resistance going back basically since inception. And these usually mark the tops of the market or temporary tops or the tops of the cycle. And so we're hung up on that area right now. I am anticipating further downside to this, at least to come back to maybe retest these, whether we make a triple bottom or we break through this, which would be a fourth time breakout signal to the downside on some pretty large time frames. So that would be extreme chaos in the altcoin market, making crazy amounts of money. But either way, seems to me that we're probably going to pause here for a little while, maybe a couple weeks or so, before we get more action to the downside. We can absolutely break through this, but I'm expecting support here for the USDT dominance, meaning I'm not expecting a huge influx of cash in the short term. Anyhow, so still have an overbalance in timer price on the total three. Had a slight close above the 50% level, so that was strong there. Stock markets are doing really well, having some positive impact this week. ETH BTC is doing really good. This is kind of the thing that, typically what everybody thinks should happen or needs to happen is that money will go from Bitcoin to ETH and then the altcoins. And we've just seen almost no strength come in for ETH BTC, meaning ETH has lost value for a very long time over Bitcoin, which it has done in the past. It has lost value against Bitcoin for a very long time, and then it will have brief moments where it outperforms, and that's kind of where we're at right now, but typically that does also mark the beginning of the alt season. And we've actually overbalanced in time and price on this one. So this whole time that ETH's been doing crazy, like just has been terrible basically, and everybody hates it. We're just now starting to see that, ETH is getting some traction, and we entered ETH here basically on a break of this consolidation here, and things are doing well. So another reason to take a little bit of profits is a lot of these charts that are nearing resistance. And so the main reason I like to do that, and then I'll go back to here. This is one of our best trades that we have so far, Virtuals protocol. We had a break of this double top, and right now I have our stop loss actually is in profit. So if we get stopped out here, if everything goes wrong, we are like $500 in profit here, and we took about $3,000 of profit right here because we're up against resistance, anticipating a pullback. That's what we got. We continued from here. So now we hold basically a $5,000 position for free. Like, we're risk free. We already took some profits, and so from this level up to the tippy top, 200%. That means that's a 3x essentially on 5K for free. And that's kind of how I like to trade. Um, and basically just set your stop loss into profit. So I am giving a lot of room here because we haven't had any structure on the weekly chart yet that I've talked about quite a bit in other videos, where I am looking for some more structure to form, maybe another swing down. And then when we break up to the upside, I'll be able to move that stop loss underneath the market and kind of just keep following the market up into profit. The other one I wanted to highlight here is ENA. Seems so far to be a pretty good entry. You can see here I had a couple buy orders on the way down, anticipating support off of this level here. And on a break of this level was actually got us into the weekly uptrend, which is why I entered it in the first place. And the thing that I really want to bring up is volatility, because price is a lot less predictable than volatility. As you can see, since it launched, volatility came down. And when we started to see an uptick in volatility, you can see that the price ticked up. And then that basically set the tone for the rest of the move. And then we're in a similar position down here, finding support off of here. And we just got an uptick in the volatility right here as the price is increasing. So those are the kind of signs that I like to look for, because you don't want to get in the market when things are overheated, because basically the swings become larger. You can see even just visually how these are a little bit tighter range down here where the volatility is lower. And then when the volatility gets higher, those swings really start to whipsaw. And so that's going to mess with your emotions. It's going to get you kicked out of the trade, unless you're buying spot. But even buying spot, you wouldn't have wanted to buy up here during these times, because you'd be down 80% right now. Not necessarily the funnest thing. So I think that's basically going to wrap it up for today. Higher exchange volume, major bullish signals. I am balls long, as is a technical term right now. I think I have about 10% cash on the side, which I think you should always have some cash on the side, but 10% I think is probably the minimum. So I'm definitely not going to be putting any more money into the market, just to kind of hedge my risk a little bit. But yeah, other than that, balls long. We have some really good entries across the board. Zooming out, just entering at lower prices. Here, this is so messy. It's not a good example. Let me just go across the board here. And yeah, you can see that this was basically the bottoming structure, and we entered on more of a confirmation into a weekly uptrend. And you can just see the performance that we've had out of that so far. And then that's basically just been it across the board, where we've entered on some kind of break of a bottoming structure. Either we're in a neutral on the weekly, or we're in a weekly uptrend. So, and some of these are really small caps, actually. This one from our entry to all-time highs is, 740%. That's an 8x. So these are kind of the smaller ones that I'm just going to leave alone and let it ride. And as we get more structure, like on the weekly time frame, basically my stop loss is right here. But once this starts swinging away, I can just keep moving this stop loss up into profit. And this is snooze fest. Like, everybody else is starting to get interested and excited. We did our research beforehand. We were patient. We waited for the volatility to come down, to become interested in the market. We waited for some more volume confirmation before we were even more aggressive. And so we basically, all signs are heading north, and we're doing really well. So if we get a pullback in the next few weeks, no big deal. I mean, we're set. We basically, our conviction is that the low is in. Our stop losses have given us room to, we could even double bottom if we needed to. And we've taken quite a bit of profits on some tokens that is just sitting on the side, just waiting. So yeah, I think that's basically it. Um, yeah.